Hello and welcome to Commercial Real Estate Explained, where we help people make informed decisions about commercial real estate. I'm Dave Carlson. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. This video is going to be about what is a PSA. Our previous video was about LOI, so be sure to check that out. This is an acronym that your broker, your lender, you might hear thrown around, and we just want to make it clear what it is so that you can understand when they're talking about it and chime in and be part of the conversation. So the acronym PSA, obviously it could be public service announcement, but in regard to commercial real estate, it is a purchase and sale agreement. It is essentially the contract for the transaction. It's the rules of the transaction. Essentially, it's a contract that basically says, if we do these things, I will buy this commercial building. There's much more to it than that, but that's the basic of it. It's basically the rules of the transaction for buying commercial real estate. We've talked about this in the previous video, but on residential transactions, that contract is pretty streamlined. It's not really something that's negotiable. It's not something that attorneys will review and kind of make custom changes to. In commercial real estate, it can be different. It can be custom. One of the things to keep in mind is that the terms are a little more fluid and a little more negotiable. There's just a little more complexity to a commercial real estate transaction, and you can structure them in different ways, different timelines. You can do different things with deposits. Whereas when you go to buy or sell a home, it's usually a much more streamlined process. So because some of these contracts can be custom, it's something that you probably want to have a commercial real estate attorney look at. We've talked about this on the channel. I have videos dedicated to it. But if you're buying commercial real estate and it is a custom purchase and sale agreement, it's not a form. That seller's attorney drew it up, and that seller's attorney is looking out for the seller, not necessarily for you. And so you want to make sure you have your own commercial real estate attorney look at it, make sure there's no language in there that's problematic, and make sure you understand what you're signing. The key there is you want a local commercial real estate attorney. You want someone that works in your market, and you want someone that does commercial real estate, specifically works on purchase and sale agreements. You don't necessarily want to have someone that does, estate planning law in Texas. You might have a cousin that does that and you can get a great deal, but it's not going to do you any favors on a commercial real estate transaction in California. Like I said earlier, the terms in the PSA can be negotiable. A lot of that negotiating on the basic terms is done on the LOI. We talked about that in a previous video. But once the basic terms are agreed to on an LOI, then you use that as the basis for your purchase and sale agreement, and that becomes the binding contract that you're actually signing. Now, it depends on what you're offering, but in a lot of times on commercial real estate, you're going to put down a earnest money deposit. We'll talk about that in the next video. But essentially, that deposit entitles you to go into contract, and you're kind of in the driver's seat to buy the building. In most cases, that earnest money deposit is refundable. So essentially, it's what we would call a free look. You have a chance to dig into the building and make sure it is what you think that it is. Of course, there are expenses while you're in escrow. There's inspections that can be expensive. We're going to talk about that in other videos. So even though people will call it a free look at the building, there are some things you're going to have to spend money on and you want to think about and be careful about. So anyways, this is just a simple video explaining what a PSA is. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you got any value out of this, please hit subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. This is a series of videos that's going to help people understand how to buy commercial real estate. Even if you're experienced or if this is your first time, hopefully you'll find some things in these videos that you didn't know or hadn't thought about. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.